I don't do super long in-depth reviews of each episode, the only exception being Ahsoka, so I guess like usual I'll keep this one short as I can. Echo is the latest Disney Plus Marvel show, and it is the worst, or if not one of the worst ones yet. The pacing is awful, the editing is poor, the acting leaves a lot to be desired, and the action is just... oh god, the action's just the worst offender. I mean, it's bloody abysmal. They try to do a one-take gimmick, even though the cuts are ridiculously obvious, and the actors, they're just not really trained or prepared enough, and they're not able to pull it off. They cannot do it. Charlie Cox is obviously great, but, he has experience with one-take fights because he's done the Marvel, the Daredevil shows. But everyone else, including the main character, Echo herself, they're just bad. I mean, they're sloppy, the punches and the kicks lack any weight to them, half the hits are very clearly missing contact, which, obviously they're not actually hitting each other, but you're supposed to make it look like they actually are. And here you can clearly see that they're literally just hitting the air, and it's just poor, it's really poor. I mean, the other fights that, they aren't one take, they're just, they're cut and they're edited so poorly. And they have this just egregiously annoying shaky cam that it just becomes a headache trying to watch the fights. The show is just so poorly made, it's actually unbelievable. I mean the CGI is janky too, but I wasn't really expecting much, so I'm not really bothered by that. Except for one scene where Echo kicks a chair, and it's just such poor CGI. I had to laugh. That was a hilarious scene. Also, the pacing is just incredibly poor. I mean, the first episode just keeps randomly cutting to the point where you don't even know what the hell's going on halfway through. I mean, which, to be fair, the first episode does not have a bloody plot to follow. It just goes on, there is nothing set up, nothing told to us about what's going on. Echo, she just goes to a few places, gets into a few fights, and they just don't even bother explaining anything. No why, no what, no anything. There's no reason to it. Also, spoiler alert, but I'm not even sure why I'd say this, because you're not going to watch this bloody crap, but Echo, which I'm not even sure is her name, I don't even know if that's her name, and I don't really care. She's annoying, and she's an unlikable character, and there really is nothing memorable about her. But yeah, Echo, she shoots Kingpin point blank in the eye, because Hawkeye said he was the one who gave the order to kill her dad. The guy who she's been hunting, probably for months, who's actually a killer that goes around killing hundreds of people, and who kills her dad in front of her own eyes, tells her the guy who's been protecting her and looking after her since he was a kid, who treats her like she's actually his daughter, he tells her that guy's the killer. And she just believes him. She doesn't go around looking for proof or evidence. We just cut to her meeting Kingpin, and she shoots him in the head. That's it. No, nothing. And he lives. Point blank. A bullet to the head, straight through the eye. I've never been shot, but I'm pretty sure a point blank shot to the eye will go straight through your eye and into your brain, and you will die. I'm sure some people would argue it's entirely possible to live after getting shot in the eye, and there's actually cases of people surviving. Yeah, there are a few cases. 2 people out of 100. Also, point blank, you will not survive any bullet point blank. It's impossible. Those people who survived a shot to the eye, they were shot from far away. Maybe even it might not even be directed at them. They were hit from far away. The force from that shot would be so, it would crush this part of your skull and your brain. You will not live. Those people that, like I've said, he cannot live. Anyway, yeah, for as mature and violent and serious this show claims it is, it can't grow up. It's still just completely 100% a Marvel show. I mean, it says it's serious, but it just cannot take itself seriously at all. The violence clashes with the usual light-hearted humour of Marvel, and it just feels wrong. They've basically taken another generic Marvel show, but they've made the violence more gratuitous, and it just doesn't work. I mean, there's the usual boring banter and humour, and then suddenly it cuts to Echo and she's violently killing someone and there's blood spraying out of him like it's a Tarantino film. I mean, for some shows, the sudden contrast, it works. The sudden contrast in humour and darkness will work in certain shows, like Fargo, for instance. But Fargo is a show that balances the humour with the serious and violent scenes perfectly, making for a gripping and shocking watch. Echo is merely trying to take itself seriously, even though there are some parts where the show just feels like an episode of Looney Tunes, accompanied by random gratuitous violence. Also, literally nothing happens, or changes, 5 episodes of sludge, and all that's happened and all that's changed is, Kingpin's a wee bit sadder now than he was before the show. There's nothing different. It's pathetic. I give it 5%. There is nothing worthwhile in this show, not even the Daredevil fight. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure you've seen the breakdown. I'm sure you've seen how poor that fight is. Oh my god, I cannot live with that fight. It's so bad. Jesus Christ, Daredevil deserves better. And since it's part of Marvel's spotlight, and it has no effect or no connection to the overall story of the MCU, I would strongly recommend you just do not watch this. Don't even try it. I bloody hope you don't. It will be a waste of your time. I 100% promise you that. The show is just genuinely dire. But yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully next review will be more positive, because I'm gonna need something good to wash this crap down.